The main focus of the Super Smash Bros. Series has and always will be the characters on the roster. However, something that may be just as important as the characters are the stages that we play on. Smash Ultimate has over 100 different stages to play on from its several different franchises, but the franchise with by far the most stages is fittingly the Super Mario series with a total of 18. Welcome to another episode of Level by Level, my level analysis series where I judge levels based on how good of a job I think they do at accomplishing their goal. Today I want to take a look at these 18 Mario stages and determine which of these I think are the best, and I cannot stress the I think part of that enough. Of course, every episode in this series is just my opinion, but with this one especially, it's important to keep in mind that these are just my thoughts, as everyone has their own way they like to play Smash. For me, I like to play on the standard competitive rule set, which also includes the competitive stages. That means that I generally like simple stages, and thus there will be a lot of bias towards that in this video. I'll try my best to keep it to a minimum when putting these on a tier list, but I can't make any promises. But how will I be judging these stages? Well, they of course have to be fun to play on. Again, that'll be different for everyone, but I think a good baseline for me is that the stage's layouts or hazards don't interfere with the fight in an annoying way. Secondly, as Smash Bros is meant to be a series about bringing other series together, how well the stage does representing either the game or series it's from is very important. Final thing of note before we start, I'm only going to be talking about Ultimate stages in this video, and only the stages with a mushroom icon. So even though Yoshi's Island is from Mario World, we won't be covering it because the developers put it in the Yoshi series. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, but wait just a second. Before we get to the Peach's Castle stage, I have a secret to tell you all about the greatest mobile game of all time and today's video sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid's got a ton of champions, over 600 now. All of those champions come from unique factions, each with their own history in the world of Teleria. My personal favorite faction is the High Elves. Their homeland, Aravia, has been around for thousands of years, surviving the fall of the Lizardman Empire, helped the humans form into civilizations, and defeated the orcs when they formed a huge horde and attacked the continent. But then, things got twisted when Siroth, the Lord of Darkness, convinced a bunch of elves to go evil and attack the kingdom. The Civil War nearly ended the elves, but Aravia survived, rebuilt, and now is stronger than ever. So very based. There's also a ton happening in Raid this month. They're bringing out 5 cool looking new champions that I can't wait to get my hands on. They're overhauling the champion vault, and they've got a load of awesome smaller updates as well. On top of that, Raid's running a huge series of Summer Splash events for the whole month, where you can get your hands on some incredible skins for everyone's favorite dwarf Trunda. But wait, there's more. Raid's currently running a special Deliana Chase event where you can get your hands on the amazing Deliana, a brand new legendary champion from the High Elves faction. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 28th, and you'll get Deliana for free. That's it. Deliana is one of the strongest support champions in the entire game, and can help carry your team get past many of Raid's tougher challenges. You don't want to miss her. But the gifts just keep coming. All new players, listen up. Once you're in the game, just enter the promo code MyDeliana to get your hands on everything. Get 50 XP brews to instantly get your legendary hero Deliana to max level 50, as well as a ton of silver. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Aina, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you right here. Thank you once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. This stage acts as the very first stage in Smash history, being the first one on the selection screen in Smash 64. Interestingly, the stage is the only Mario stage to not be from a specific game. Instead, it's just said to be from the Mario series. Looking at the stage itself though, it's pretty obvious that some of the details like these trees come from Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 64. So that will be the game I'm mostly basing my judgment around here. Now it's time we look at the layout. The bottom of the stage has moving platforms that go in and out of the stage itself. This could lead to some funny edgeguard scenarios where you knock someone off and they just have absolutely no hope of coming back. Okay, well, it's Little Mac, he wouldn't have had a chance anyway. This platform has the interesting property of allowing people to go through it from the bottom. It's not really that well shown that you can do that, so this platform is pretty thick when you compare it to other platforms that let you do the same thing, but regardless, I do find this feature fun. From the bottom platform, there's a small step up, and then above that, there's a bridge that spans across the entire length of the stage, giving a nice place to fight. A lot of stages have an issue with actually having space to fight on, so this is greatly appreciated. The final 2 elements of the stage have to do with what's above the bridge. At the sides, there are 2 triangles, which are sort of interesting obstacles. The main problem with surfaces like this is that they can be teched on, which can make stocks last for a lot longer than normal. However, I do sort of like these things. They're certainly really weird and don't really have anything to do with Mario, but I still think they're fun additions overall. The last hazard is the bumper, which works basically the exact same as the bumper item, bouncing anyone around who hits it. This is a much better hazard in my opinion, since it's more fun to try and knock people into it, and there's also no way to tech off a bumper. But with all that said, that covers the default form of the stage, though I do still think we should talk about the hazardless version as well. This forces the platform at the bottom to be locked in place space along with the triangles, which I didn't actually know moved until I made my hazards video. It also completely removes the bumper, allowing for some more easy kills off the top. I think these are all pretty solid changes. I think if it removed the triangles entirely though, then it would have been perfect, but it's still solid as is. In fact, I think that's my opinion on the whole stage. It's very solid. The layout has several distinct places, but none of them are annoying to fight on. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite casual stages. However, what holds this back from being perfect is the fact that again, this stage isn't really that distinctly Mario. I mean, obviously it looks like a Mario stage with the Peach's Castle aesthetic and other elements pulled from Mario 64, but the hazards on this stage really don't have much to do with the series at all. The moving platform at the bottom maybe, but the floating triangles and especially the bumper, which is literally a Smash Bros series item, just don't give off a Mario impression at all. So I think my final ranking for this stage is A tier. How fun a stage is to play on is obviously the most important thing, and it's not like this doesn't feel like a Mario stage at all, it's just I feel like they could have done a bit better. Well, luckily for Mario, he was the only franchise who got 2 stages in Smash 64, so I think it's time we look at Mushroom Kingdom. Unlike the last stage, Mushroom Kingdom is distinctly from a specific Mario game, Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Pretty much everything is taken straight from that game. Except they made the piranha plants red instead of green. Epic fail, Nintendo. The stage is split up into 2 sides. First of all, at the left, there's a ceiling with bricks and a pipe on top. I've always been personally annoyed that you can't break these bricks, unlike every other brick block on a Mario stage, but it's not really that big of a deal. The pipe has a piranha plant inside of it, which will obviously damage the player upon contact. There's also another platform that can be jumped through with a POW block on top, which will act like the POW block item when attacked, hitting anyone that's on the ground. The right side of the stage is a bit more simple, having 2 platforms arranged like a staircase and a second pipe on the floor that also has a piranha plant. The final section of the stage is a balancing platform over the pit in the center. This is especially really cool as it actually goes by character weight, meaning heavier characters will weigh it down more. Pichu, how do you weigh less than a literal sheet of paper? Inside the pit there's also another pipe. One thing I haven't shared about those yet is if you go inside of them by either crouching or simply going into it in the case of the one in the pit, then it will randomly warp you to a different location, which is a pretty fun gimmick. It's especially funny since it can actually bring you to the same location, meaning you could possibly go into this pipe in the pits, only to be spat back out. Bruh. In the hazardless version of the stage, there's no balancing platforms, the pipes don't work, and there's no POW block. Those changes definitely all make sense, though I do think I prefer the stage with hazards on. So based on everything I've said so far, this is fantastic. The stage looks super good, and all of the elements feel ripped directly from the game the stage is based on. The hazards are all actually Mario based as well, with piranha plants, warp pipes, balance platforms, and POWs all being staples of the series, though POW blocks weren't in the original Super Mario Bros, but I won't hold that against them. Something I will hold against them though is the big main problem with this, and many other stages in this video. See, you may have noticed that the only way to fall off this stage is in the middle, whereas the edges of the stage go all the way into the blast zone. This is what's known as a walk-off stage, as you could just walk off into the blast zone. This type of stage sucks. In every single stage like this, the battles are just going to boil down to someone camping in the corner because that's almost always the optimal thing to do. You just stand there, hold shield, and then backthrow your opponent at 0 and kill them. This is not fun for anyone involved, which means any stage like this is going to take a serious hit. Hey, at least the stage has a cool Easter egg if you look into the blast zones where there's a big danger sign, but yeah, other than that, these walk-offs kill this stage. I'm still going to put it in B tier. While yeah, it's not the best stage to play on, the hazards are all perfect for a stage like this. Basically the exact opposite of what happened with Peach's Castle. But that's it for Smash 64. Let's jump into our first melee stage, Princess Peach's Castle. Wait, didn't we already cover this stage? Yeah, okay, so this is Princess Peach's Castle. The other stage was just Peach's Castle. This stage is apparently taken from Super Mario 64, though really I think this one could have been labeled as just being from the Mario series considering how popular of a location Peach's Castle is. This takes place on the roof of the castle, similar to the Hyrule Castle stage. The main spire in the middle splits the stage in half, with each half having a platform on the side closest to the blast zone. The hazards on the stage are first off these red, blue, and green switches, which reference the 3 cap switches from Mario 64. These won't give you the wing, metal, and vanish caps though. Instead, they'll spawn in blocks and platforms corresponding to their color, which can make the stage's layout slightly more interesting. Finally, there are also some bonsai bills which will randomly fly in and hit the castle, causing a massive explosion wherever they land. I will say that this hazard is a bit disruptive due to how massive it is, but it moves slowly enough to where you can generally have enough time to react and move out of the way. Without hazards, the switches and bonsai bills get removed, which makes total sense. Now, my main problem of this stage has to do with the layout. Luckily, it doesn't have any walk-offs, but what it does have is this huge spire in the middle. Now, obviously, any stage based on Peach's Castle would have to have this. It's like the main defining piece right next to the stained glass. However, it's quite annoying to fight around as you need to jump up the entire thing if your opponent happens to be on the other side. On top of that, the top of the spire is really close to the top blast zone, so really all anyone has to do is camp at the very top. There's no great way to shark them from below, and you can't come in from above to maybe mix up your landing with a grab. On top of that, many uppies at his shields will just kill if they connect up here. Mario and Samus's especially due to their vertical knockback and incredibly fast speed. While I do think this pillar pillar is less of a problem than walk-offs, it's still not a great feature to have. So for the tier list, I think I'll place it just above Mushroom Kingdom in B tier. The references to Mario 64 are solid for the most part, though I do think Mushroom Kingdom does a better job emulating the game it's representing. On the other hand, I think Princess Peach's castle is slightly more fun to play on, as camping at the top has a bit more counterplay than camping in the blast zones. Now we have arrived at one of the most interesting stages to rank on the list, that being Rainbow Cruise. First off, this name is really annoying to me because the stage it's based on is Rainbow Ride from Mario 64, so why did they not call it Rainbow Ride? That will always drive me crazy. Anyways, this stage has you start on the ship at the end of the level, which makes sense as that's probably the most iconic location from it. The layout here is actually pretty good, having a long platform with a few slopes, 2 platforms stacked up top, and a raised area in the back which is smaller and closer to the blast zone, leading to a good small place to battle for last hit scenarios. I don't even really have much of a problem with the wall here. It's in a pretty good spot to where it won't really interfere much with KOs, making it really only helpful for some combos. However, notice how I said the stage starts at the ship, as this stage is our first example of an auto-scroll stage. The only thing worse than a walk-off is a stage that you have to be constantly moving in. This completely distracts you from the fight as you focus more on trying to survive rather than your opponent. I've seen people defend walk-offs before, but these auto-scroll stages seem to be unanimously disliked among sane individuals in the Smash audience. Well, anyways, within the auto-scroll segment, there are a lot of references to the Rainbow Ride stage, as many of the elements here are taken straight from it. The moving carpets, donut blocks, even these swinging platforms all come from the original level in Mario 64. Even the stage being incredibly unfun to play on is accurate to the original level. The only thing I would say is missing is the big house, which is a pretty popular part of the level. Okay, so while writing the script, I actually came up with a possible game theory to one of Smash Bros.'s biggest mysteries. I'm not sure if anyone has said this before, but I personally have never heard it. So in the background of this stage, there's a little village off in the distance, which is obviously not part of the original level as it's floating completely over the void. However, what if this village is supposed to contain the big house from the level in Mario 64? That would make this pretty random background Easter egg make a little bit more sense. At the very least, maybe the big house was an inspiration to add this into the background. Anyways, back to the video. So where does this stage go on the tier list? Well, it acts as a really solid reference to Mario 64, but other than that, it's just not fun to play on much at all, so I think I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. No, looks like I totally forgot to talk about the stage hazard toggle. This completely saves the stage. This locks it to only being in the really solid ship transformation. Without hazards though, I will say this feels a lot less like a reference to Mario 64's Rainbow Ride, especially due to how redesigned the ship is, but I really don't care. So with the simple flip of the stage hazards toggle, we go from one of the worst stages to one of the best casual stages. So how do we rank this? Well, I think it's only fair to judge it based on its best appearance. If it gave us the option to play on it in its good variant, then why would we ever consider the bad one? I appreciate having the option to play how I like, that way I don't have to interact with the insane people who like auto-scrollers. So my ranking for this is another solid A tier. I'm putting this just below Peach's Castle as that one is fun both with and without hazards, but it was super close. Oh, and another thing I want to mention, I mostly play on the Omega versions of stages, but these obviously aren't considered for the video. I bring it up here though as this is one of my go-to choices along with most of the other Mario stages. I just really like how most of them look. And our final stage hailing from Melee is Mushroom Kingdom 2. Though technically this doesn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom as Super Mario Bros. 2 takes place in Subcon, this is split into 3 different segments. The middle is a pretty simple platform with a bridge. The other 2 platforms are on either side of it and raised up a little. The gap between them is pretty fun to wall jump up sometimes, and logs will also spawn from the waterfall to stand on. As you fight, Birdo will make an appearance to attack with eggs and possibly push people off to their deaths, and Pidgeot will come in on its flying carpet which can be stood on. With hazards off, Birdo and Pidgeot get executed and logs stop coming from the waterfall. Well, that was a pretty simple stage. Except for the fact that I forgot to mention that it's another walk-off. Yay. Well, I think this stage belongs once again in B tier. Another really solid stage ruined by having walk-offs. I'm putting it below Mushroom Kingdom as these hazards are a lot less interesting, but they still decently represent the game they're from. At least this stage looks really nice. Delfino Plaza. This is a hard one for me. This is what's known as a traveling stage. Basically, you'll be put on a floating platform, and after a few seconds, you'll be taken to a random location. In this case, all across Delfino Plaza, which does make this a fairly decent Sunshine reference. There are several different places that you go to here, whether it be the top of the town itself, on top of the giant shine, on top of some roofs, an island, and even a few stone pillars with some grass. Some of these transformations are decent, like the island, whereas some others are not that great due to them being walk-offs. Though the stage being travel-based does make camping at the sides significantly less of an issue since the opponent can just wait for the stage to move on. So where do I put this stage on the tier? Oh wait, silly me, I forgot about the stage hazard toggle again. Yeah, so this will stop the stage from... Wait, why is it... The stage hazard toggle does nothing? Yeah, I have no clue why on earth this doesn't freeze the stage. I mean, Skyloft, another traveling stage, does get frozen in its first portion, so why is this different? I'd maybe understand if this started in the town, but seriously, this is just stupid. Well, that hurt the stage, not to mention that the landing locations are random each time, making the stage annoyingly unpredictable. Well, I don't really like playing on it, and honestly, traveling is not my favorite gimmick, so I think I'm going to give this a high C. For the sort of lame references mixed with the sort of lame transformations, that's the highest I think I can give this stage. I feel like this will be the most controversial ruling of this video, but that's all I could really give this thing. Again, perfectly fine to disagree, but the lack of the hazard toggle doing anything really stings. Mushroomy Kingdom. Okay, Brawl sucks. Back to back we get two stages that I don't like, and somehow this one is even worse. First off, the name. Mushroomy Kingdom? Really? They couldn't have called it 1-1? Oh, I guess there is a reason they didn't, but we'll get to that. Secondly, God, this stage looks so ugly. I get the idea is supposed to be that this level has been abandoned after so many years, but come on, this looks gross. I love how Mushroom Kingdom looks, which makes this stage so much sadder. Oh, we haven't even looked at the stage itself. Well, it's a complete recreation of 1-1 from the original Super Mario Bros. Sure, it's one of the most popular video game levels of all time. But have you ever considered that it would suck to fight on? First off, the stage is a walk-off. We already know how much I love those, but it's also an auto-scroll on top of that. Not to mention that there are so many bricks and pipes blocking the way that getting a kill is super annoying unless the computer kills itself while you're messing around with wall jumps. All of this would easily put this in D tier. It's only barely safe from F tier due to it being ripped straight from the game. However, we're not done. You remember how the stage is called Mushroomy Kingdom instead of 1-1? Well, there's a reason for that. In Brawl, it also let you play through 1-2, which is kind of nice. But for who knows why, this was cut from Ultimate. An entire half of the stage, gone. Oh, and you know what I said about this being a direct rip from 1-1? Well, that's not even true because there are no enemies here, making this even more boring. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole abandoned gimmick for the stage was chosen just so that they wouldn't have to program Goombas and Koopas. Well, that settles it. We've finally seen our first F tier of this series. Not only is this terrible to play on, but it only barely does a decent job of replicating what it's meant to. And if we consider this stage as a combo of 1-1 and 1-2, it only does half the job. Maybe the Brawl version would earn a D tier, but we're talking about Ultimate today, and I will gladly put this at the bottom of the level by level tier list in F tier. Well, now that that's done, let's hope this next stage is good. Figure 8 circuit mid. Okay. Let's do this as positively as I can. This is our first stage based on a Mario spin-off. That, of course, being the most popular one, Mario Kart. Oh, and also for some stupid reason, Smash considers the Mario Kart series to be separate from the main Mario series in Smash, meaning we can't play Mario music on these stages, and you can't play Mario Kart music on other Mario stages. That significantly hurts this aesthetically, but at least the Mario Kart music is super good. Okay, back to the actual stage. This is taken from a non-specific track. Technically, you could claim this is Figure 8 Circuit from Mario Kart DS, but there are two things wrong with that. One, this has a different layout from that, and two, this stage was originally called Mario Circuit, clearly showing that it's not based on that track. With so many popular locations to choose from the Mario Kart series at the time of Brawl's release, why on earth would they not decide to make a recognizable course into a stage? At the very least, this does look pretty nice, and I do enjoy playing on its Omega variant. The stage itself only has one hazard, being these Shy Guys, which drive on the track and will brutally run over anyone in their way. A cute little detail is that you can even see them going across the track on the screen in the back, and it perfectly lines up with their locations as well. This is exactly how the map screen works in every Mario Kart game, so I do really like this detail. Hazards off kills the Shy Guys, and I personally think that hurts the stage as they're pretty fun to avoid. Other than that, the stage is split into two layers and takes place where the Figure 8 overlaps. The bottom is entirely flat, and the top is split into 3 different platforms, one small one in the middle, and 2 at the sides which act as ramps. But of course, this is another stage that succumbs to the walk-off stage curse. Granted, it is slightly better than some of the other ones since camping below makes you susceptible to someone dropping down from above, and camping on top can get you hit from cars, but really, a walk-off is a walk-off. So I think I'm going to place this below Delfino Plaza in C tier. While I do prefer playing this stage slightly more, Delfino Plaza acts as a better representation of its game, and it's actually a specific location. Let's hope this next one is good. Oh, thank God it's Luigi's Mansion. Being based on the game of the same name, this is a good stage. First off, let's get this out of the way, it's not a walk-off. Secondly, the layout here is pretty solid. This is separated into 3 separate flat layers: the ground floor, second floor, and roof. There are also 2 small platforms at the side, which don't really do anything, but they're not like bad, they're just kind of there. There are also 2 platforms between the ground and second floor, which are a bit more awkwardly placed. They're not that big of a deal, but I feel like I'd rather have the stage without them. One other small thing I personally don't like is that while the entire roof layer lets you go through it like a platform, the second floor can only be entered from the ground floor from this small platform in the middle. The rest of the floor acts as a completely solid object, which can get annoying as it's pretty common for people to bounce or tech off of them to live longer. Had this floor been fully transparent, this would be a lot more fun to play on. Finally, we have to talk about the hazard of this stage. By hitting the pillars, you're able to destroy the floor above you before the mansion eventually rebuilds itself. This will be disabled with the hazards toggle, though I do like playing on both variations. Thankfully, I think it's safe to say we got another A tier on our hands. I'm going to be putting it below Rainbow Ride since these ceilings here do decently get annoying sometimes, but other than that, this is great. Thank you Brawl for at least giving us one good stage after the last 3 mediocre ones. But there is still one more Brawl stage to talk about. Mario Bros. Is honestly not that bad, let me explain. First off, this is obviously based on Mario Bros, a game pretty important to the brothers' legacy. This is directly ripped from the game, however, instead of looking god-awful and not having enemies, this stage actually looks like the original game, and the enemies spawn here too. These enemies not only damage the player as you would expect, but when you knock them down by either hitting the POW block, hitting them from underneath, or attacking them, then you can actually pick them up like an item and throw them at your opponent, which is also incredibly strong by the way. This leads to some very interesting and unique plays on the stage as you try to scramble to get one of the enemies without being attacked yourself. But of course, the stage does have the flaw of being a this isn't a normal walk-off stage. Instead, if you run off this side, you'll appear on the other side, not only making the stage much more playable, but also serving as a fantastic reference to the movement in the original game. If you receive high enough knockback, you'll still die, but camping is much harder to do since the opponent will now be able to come in from the other side on top of the very powerful throwable enemies. Hazards off, the stage is slightly worse due to there being no enemies, though I can certainly still see people preferring this. The only real problem I have is with the general layout. All of the platforms act as ceilings, which makes sense due to how the game and enemies worked, but it can make getting kills at the bottom or middle layers quite tedious. Then again though, that does help prevent early walk-off kills near the bottom. So for the tier list ranking, I'm putting this as an A tier. I was considering B tier, but as I wrote the script, I convinced myself it should be higher. The layout is still somewhat difficult to deal with, but the enemies really help with making the stage more fun to play on, and the walk-offs being completely different from most other stages really helps. That's it for Brawl though, let's jump into the 3DS stages. Fittingly, our first 3DS stage is 3D Land, and yeah, this one is lame. Like previous stages, the bricks can be broken and the question mark blocks will give you items. Unfortunately, this is another auto-scroller and walk-off stage. However, this is at least a little bit better than Mushroomy Kingdom. For one, since this isn't based on anything directly, the layout is a little bit better for fighting. Secondly, and most importantly, this is not an auto-scroller for the entire duration. Basically, you'll start the stage in a small auto-scroller before getting to a section with some floating platforms that actually give you a chance to fight. Then you get to go to another auto-scroll section with some spinning blocks and enter another platform segment. This time you have to avoid skewers that break it apart, before finally looping back to the start of the stage. The small platform segments do save this from being an F tier as they're not too bad to fight on, but it's safe to say this is still getting a D. This doesn't even really do a good job of representing 3D Land. I mean, most of these obstacles could be for any Mario game. Oh, and the stage hazard toggle barely changes anything, only really removing the stones and skewers from the platform segments. You know, if the platform segment was the hazardless version of the stage, this would have been pretty nice, but whatever, I guess. Now this is an interesting one to talk about. Golden Plains has been a stage that has heavily grown on me ever since I made the stage hazards ranking video. While yes, this is a walk-off, its gimmick really helps it out. Since the stage is based on New Super Mario Bros. 2, the gimmick here is of course about collecting coins. Basically, every character gets a coin counter near their name, and once you collect 100 coins, you become golden temporarily, which makes your attacks incredibly strong. This is a very good gimmick for many reasons. One, it makes the stage basically have its own entire game mode as you have to rush to collect all of the coins, which I think makes the stage stand out among the pack. Secondly, since the gold power-up is so helpful, it actually discourages camping at the blast zone since you'll want to be collecting coins instead. Thirdly, the power-up isn't too overpowered. You don't become invincible, so it won't slow down the fight by your opponent just running away. This mechanic was just beautifully implemented, and if this didn't have walk-offs, it'd basically be a perfect stage. Oh, we're not even done by the way. During the fight, Peace Switches and red rings will spawn that can give you even more coins. Additionally, the stage will occasionally move around, but it's rare enough to where it won't be too intrusive. The 3 different locations all make for interesting coin collecting spots. So overall, I think this is another A tier. I'll be putting it right above Mario Bros, as it's another walk-off stage that got saved by its gimmick. Oh, and the hazardless toggle makes this undeniably worse. It just becomes a walk-off with a hill. How exciting. Now for the Paper Mario stage, this is another hard one to judge. This is what's known as a transformation stage, where the stage will transform into a different layout after a bit of fighting. I generally like these more than traveling stages since I feel like the transformations are a bit better on average, but that's certainly not a universal thing. There are 3 main layouts for this stage. First is the standard one, and also the only one you'll play on in the hazardless version. This has a windmill that can move, a cloud platform, and a pipe. The pipe has nothing in it. This also has a walk-off to one side, so cool, that already kills the hazardless version. The second section is a boat, which is certainly the best of the three, but whenever I play on it, I just wish I was playing pirate ship instead. The gimmick with the whale moving the boat isn't really that interesting either. The final section is the closest we've ever gotten to having a Bowser's Castle stage in Smash. Seriously, why have they not done that yet? This layout is not great. There are two tiny platforms at the side and the Bowser head spins, so it's basically impossible to fight at all during this transformation. After that, we get dropped back off at the start. Yeah, that sucked. There's only one good layout here, and it's just a worse version of an already existing stage. I mean, at least the stage is mostly playable. That's more I can say about the auto-scroll ones. I don't know, I was gonna place this higher when I started the script, but the more I talk about it, the more it just feels like a D-tier stage. It's definitely not one I'm begging to go back to. But alright, onto the Wii U, and we have a good stage again with Mushroom Kingdom U. This is based on New Super Mario Bros. U, and is also a transformation stage. The only difference between this and the last one is that these layouts don't suck. First off, the main layout. This is really good, like almost tournament legal good. If only it weren't so big, there's a chance this could have been legal considering it's the only place the stage goes with hazards off. It has 3 semi-solid platforms acting as, well, platforms. This alone makes the stage better than most of what we've talked about so far, but we still have to look at the 3 other transformations. These will be randomly chosen by Kamek, which is also a great way to integrate the transformation aspect. Most stages just have the players fight until suddenly, void. The first transformation is the Rock Candy Mines, which is a flat rock platform balancing on a small spire, causing it to lean side to side. The Clouds one is a bit more interesting, having 2 separated platforms with 2 more thin platforms placed with them. Finally, the last transformation takes place in a tower with some sliding blocks. This one is definitely the hardest to fight on, but it's still far better than old Paper Mario back there. A few hazards like water spires and urchins, along with falling icicles and Nabbit can spawn during the fight as well. I do think Nabbit is a bit too intrusive with him being able to grab and take people off the stage, but otherwise, this is pretty great. The transformations all do a good job showcasing some of the level types from New Super Mario Bros. U, and the 3 transformations are all pretty visually distinct from any other Mario stage. I think this deserves to be a high A tier. It's a great stage to play on, and I'd even not hate this being legal. The only thing holding this back from being a perfect S tier is a bit of a nitpick. I really wish there was a way to pick which transformation you start on, or in other words, which stage you would stay on in the hazardless for. I'd still likely stick with the main layout for most of the time, but the others are far from being bad, so I wish there was a way to play them without the other somewhat disruptive hazards. Oh, I also like how in the Battlefield form, the platforms are still the semi-solids connected to the ground. It just looks really cool compared to most other Battlefield stages. Alright, Mario Galaxy is based on, I don't know, Dr. Mario, and has one of the most unique blast zones in the game. The reason that is because the stage has a unique gravity to emulate that of the Galaxy games, where players fall towards the center of this mini planet. The only thing is though, this is barely that much of a bend, so it's not really that interesting at all. You barely even notice the gravity in gameplay. Sometimes certain projectiles break, I guess, so that's kind of neat. On top of that, it's also a walk-off. I'm not really that big of a fan of the Galaxy games, but they deserve better than this. How cool would it have been if the stage was an entire circle and you'd have to hit players hard enough to knock them out of the planet's gravity? That could be a really interesting concept for a stage. Sure, it would be super hard to program, but I don't know, I just can't help but feel like this stage is really lame. Easy C tier. It's at least sort of playable, and the Omega form of the stage looks nice. Mario Circuit is our final Mario Kart stage, and right off the bat, this is a big improvement. It's actually based on a real Mario Kart track, being Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 8. In Smash, this acts as another traveling stage, which I think makes sense for a race course. Most of the layouts along the track are pretty solid. There are a few walk-offs, but again, the transformations do help prevent camping. One thing I like about this stage though is just how much they play around with its unique shape. See, in Mario Kart 8, this was the main track used to show off that game's anti-gravity, and the Smash stage also uses that to great effect, having the Shy Guy racers on the stage come from several different angles. This also means that on some parts of the track, it actually acts as either walls or ceilings depending on where you are. If the stage is currently traveling and someone comes in contact with the track, they'll take damage and bounce away, which I think is another fun little gimmick. The only real flaw I personally have here is the fact that the stage traveling is in sync with the Shy Guys racing, meaning you could sometimes go a long time without seeing them. But yeah, definitely a solid B tier for this one. Okay, Super Mario Maker. Now this is a good stage. Obviously it's based on Super Mario Maker, but since that's a level designer tool, the creators of the stage had to come up with a way to emulate the endless possibilities of a game like Mario Maker. So how did they do this? Well, they made the stage be in a randomly generated layout every time you play. This makes playing and replaying the stage a ton of fun as you try and find all the possible layouts you can. It truly does feel endless, and it makes the stage pretty distinct from anything else. The shape of the stage isn't the only thing to change though, as there are many elements taken from Mario Maker that can be here. Platforms, bricks, question mark blocks, and even some crazier things like ice, conveyors, and even lava. Wish I could place lava in the actual Mario Maker. The hazard toggle also does a really neat thing here, as it'll disable the more dangerous elements, but still let the stage be randomly generated, which is pretty good. All of this goes into making the stage feel exactly how a stage based on a level designer game should. However, there's even more here to like. For one, as you fight, the stage will transition between the 4 main game styles from the original game: Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros. U. If you have the ground theme chosen as the song here, then that'll also change to match the new theme's layout. I know these are just aesthetic things, but they seriously go a long way towards me liking the stage even more than I already do. There is literally only one flaw with this stage, and that's the fact that there are sometimes walk-off layouts, but you can just restart the match if you get one of those. That did make me a bit hesitant, but I don't think it'd be fair to cheat it out of S tier because of that. It was close, but it just does such a good job of emulating Mario Maker, plus you can think of the walk-offs representing the several million bad stages in Mario Maker. With endless possibilities, some of them are bound to be bad. Well, we have one more stage to go, so let's see if it'll be able to top this. Our final stage of the video is also one of the 4 new stages to Ultimate's base roster, that being New Donk City Hall. This is another traveling stage, having the players gradually climb up the New Donk City Tower. Most of the layouts here are actually really good. There's this one near the base of the tower with 2 platforms and a small bump in the middle, this one that's pretty similar to Battlefield, and a few more. The only bad thing is that a few of them are walk-offs, but again, traveling stages do help prevent camping. All of the layouts here are actually pretty fun to fight on. The hazard here is also a really good reference to New Donk City. Basically, if you play either the ground theme band performance or Jump Up Superstar as the song, then you'll have to go around recruiting the musicians in Pauline in order to have them sing the full song. This is exactly what the whole story was about in New Donk City and Odyssey. I may be looking too far into it, but if I'm not, that's a fantastic way to incorporate a major part of the level into a stage like this. But how does it place on the tier list? This is honestly one of the most difficult ones. I mean, take one look at the channel name, it's obvious that I'm biased for Mario Odyssey, but this stage does have a really decent layout and a super fun gimmick. The thing is though, that it feels wrong placing it so high when other traveling stages weren't so lucky. I just really wish there was a way to choose a part of the stage you want to fight on. Maybe next time. But as for this stage, I'll be giving it A tier. A low A tier, but I still think the New Donk City story reference is too good to ignore. But anyways, that's it for this video. Are you all mad at me for not talking about how some of the pipes can move on the 3D land stage? Let me know in the comments. Here's the brand new combined level by level tier list for this episode. This had by far the most stages in any level by level episode so far, but hopefully I was able to keep it interesting. If you did enjoy this, I would seriously appreciate it if you left a like on this video because it helps a ton. Oh, and if you somehow missed it, the Mario Odyssey All Moon ranking has finally released, so make sure to watch that if you want. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.